Where is it? So that game that everybody says is Pokemon with guns came out. And you know what? It's pretty good, but it also got me nostalgic for a classic. Not here either. Man, I remember when I used to have all this stuff on display. Nope. Yes. I'm really gonna have to do a video about all this retro stuff one day. Man, good game. There they are. There's always something about these consoles that would always just go gross when too much sun hit them. Here we go. So, Palworld, clearly inspired by Pokemon. You could say that it's inspired by Digimon 2. Ark Survival Evolved is certainly in there. Zelda, Breath of the Wild. So why is this game so popular? Well, I think the answer is that it's smooshed together all these really awesome games and turned it into something quite fun. People have been asking for an MMO style Pokemon game for a long time, and Game Freak sort of just dragged their heels and stuck with a formula. Now that formula has worked for a really long time, but I think it's also time for a change. Anyway, I'm going to be playing some Palworld on the Xbox today just to show you what it's all about if you haven't been playing it yet. If you are playing it, then maybe you want to just stick around and hear some of my thoughts on what's going on here. But before we do that, I want to check and see whether or not my save file for Pokemon Red is still there. Very unlikely. Now, I got this game in the 90s. I got it around the time of release. I had no idea what it was, and I hadn't actually watched the TV show yet. It was being broadcast on a show in Australia called Cheese TV. A bit of nostalgia there for anybody in Australia. They also had Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, Techno Man, a whole bunch of great shows. And it changed my life. It was very important to me as a kid. Now, I played it on this thing. This is a Game Boy, and it's an original Game Boy. You can actually see that the border around it has sort of come off, a bit of plastic there. You can even see the glue. I have no idea what that is. Clearly, I'm not taking care of my stuff, right? But you know, I was a kid. This thing got banged around a whole lot. We used to actually challenge one another in the schoolyard via something called a link cable, which was a special cable. I don't know if I can actually get this little thing out here. It was a specialized connection that you can see there that allowed you to be able to battle other people and trade Pokemon too. I was the kid with the link cable, which made me very, very popular for a couple of weeks. Those were the days. In here is a copy of Stranded Kids. I don't know if you ever played this. This was a Konami game before Konami decided to get rid of Kojima and, well, anyway, everyone knows that story. And this is a Game Boy Color. It's a Pikachu edition Game Boy Color. It came with Pokemon Yellow, or at least I think it did. I got this from a retailer called Dick Smith in Australia. They aren't around anymore either. But this thing is awesome. It actually gave games a splash of color because we used to play them in black and white. It wasn't that long ago, but I guess I am showing my age here. Pokemon Red. They used to come inside these little plastic cases here to protect your game. I lost a lot of these, but yeah, the game's still in pretty good condition. Now this is something that you might not have seen if you're younger than me. This is a game manual, and these things are very, very important, or at least they were very, very important. It's also a color game manual, which, as we all know, color game manuals were way better. And in here it shows a list of some of the Pokemon that you could capture. Super cool stuff. I used to carry this in my school bag and read it religiously. Very important. Anyway, let's try this out, huh? That's necessary, by the way, otherwise it won't run. Get some energizers in there. What do you reckon? Turn on? Let's give it a go. Still turns on. Have a listen to this. It works, it actually works. 8 badges, 126 Pokemon, and what, how many hours on that? 40 hours. Now, I definitely spent a lot more time playing this as a kid. I got all the Pokemon, even missing no. But clearly I decided to start again at some point. And there you go. Bit of nostalgia for you. Anyway, I need to stop playing this and start playing some Palworld because that's what this video was about. Thank you for taking a trip down memory lane with me. Yeah, let's go play some Palworld. So right now we're going to be playing Palworld on the Xbox Series S. I will show you some Xbox Series X footage shortly. We're going to be playing single player. Co-op is available with 4 players or via a dedicated server at 32 players, but not on the Xbox for the moment. We have multiple difficulty levels. We have casual, we have normal, and we have hard, as well as a custom mode. The cool thing about the custom mode is that you can tweak just about everything. The amount of damage that you take, the amount of damage that enemies take, stamina, whether or not there's hunger, all sorts of things. So you really can customize the game to your liking. I think we obviously have a character creator as well. These sorts of character creators are very, very common. You can pick different presets and things like that. You can also create some very unusual looking characters by pressing the random button or selecting it yourself. It reminds me an awful lot of the Street Fighter 6 character creator. Some of the abominations you could create in Street Fighter 6 would make even Geralt of Rivia question whether or not monster hunting was the right profession for him. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the gameplay. So look, it's no big surprise what inspired this intro. We have the Sheikah tablet knockoff telling you to get to the towers. In just a second, we'll be going through that iconic Breath of the Wild moment into the Great Plateau. Even that little chime that plays reminds you of Zelda. They say that this is Pokemon with guns, and I have to say that in my few hours of playing, I've yet to actually get a gun. Right now, I'm just going to collect a few resources while I run through why I believe Palworld will change video games for many years to come. First of all, Palworld isn't the only monster-taming RPG, and Pokemon certainly wasn't the first. That title goes to the Megami Tensei series, of which the popular Persona series is a part of. One of my favourites is Digimon World for the PS1. Friend of the channel Squeaky Moose covers all things Digimon. He recently released a video on a new Digimon MMO that's worth checking out. There's a link in the description. Anyway, despite there being a stack of games in this genre, I think it's fair to say that Pokemon is the most famous of its ilk. And look, it's clear that Pokemon is Palworld's inspiration. I mean, some of these pals are straight up copies of Pokemon, and I don't think developer Pocketpair is shying away from that. We're basically throwing Pokeballs at these critters. So how does Palworld get away with this? Well, they either have amazing lawyers or change just enough to get away with it. The answer lies somewhere in between copyright and trademark laws. Truth is, it doesn't really matter anymore anyway. This game has sold more than 8 million copies in 6 days. Whatever the cost is, they can afford it. So we voted with our wallets and we said, yes, give us the Pokemon MMO style game that Game Freak wouldn't give us. Take bits of Ark Survival Evolved, sprinkle in some Rust and Breath of the Wild. These are all great games. Why not make video game soup with them? It's a little undercooked, but it still tastes great. This isn't the first time that something like this has happened. I mean, Stardew Valley is basically just Harvest Moon. It's also better than Harvest Moon, which is one of my favourite games of all time. The narrative for Stardew is that it was inspired by or homage to the big farming sim that came before it. Everyone's fine with it. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is doing something similar with their Animal Crossing and Pokemon inspiration. I mean, it's obviously Animal Crossing and Pokemon, but it's also not. Palworld is a signal to other developers that it's okay to not just be inspired by, but outright copy mechanics and systems from other games. Why reinvent the wheel? Genshin Impact was under heat for also being a Breath of the Wild clone, but in the end it became its own thing. It's very popular. Pocketpair have already moved on to their next investment, Nevergrave, which has already been branded a Hollow Knight clone. I think Pocketpair are destined to be known as the copycat developers, at least for the foreseeable future. In saying that, if you are looking for the real Hollow Knight clone, then look no further than Deviator on Steam. It's shockingly similar. Personally, it doesn't impact me all that much. I just won't play these games if they don't appeal to me. Hell, Ubisoft have been making games about capturing towers for years and people still buy their games. Bottom line is you should be expecting a lot more of these clones, especially if there is a demand for that style of game. Maybe this will finally push Nintendo and Game Freak to innovate a little more. Anyway, let's jump over to the Series X now and have a look at some of the gameplay mechanics a little closer. So we're now on the Xbox Series X. I think it looks a lot better. It certainly performs better as well. The Series S, by the way, is a great console. I did a video on it a little while back, and it's absolutely worth having. Whether it's your primary or secondary console, it doesn't really matter. But, I mean, yeah, the Series X, right? It looks better. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you how the basic gameplay mechanics work. Obviously, you were watching me run around and collect some resources, run past a couple of pals. Over here, we have a fast travel point that lets you return to it when you die. When I was playing this earlier, though, I died and I wasn't able to go there. I'm not sure what caused that. One thing I've noticed as well with the game is that when you first start up, you can immediately kill your character or die. And then pick where you want to go. You can pick a couple of key points around the map here. So yeah, I guess if you don't want to start in the starting area, then you can. It's not procedurally generated or anything. It all seems to be sort of locked in, so your experience is always going to be the same. I did recently just capture a PAL that looks an awful lot like Eevee. I've just pressed LB there to summon Eevee, who is called Premise. There you go, have a bit of a look there. You can run up and pat them and do all sorts of stuff as well. That you think you do around the base. Now, to catch a PAL, you basically need to go up and hit them with a weapon. You'll do that a couple of times to get their health down. And once their health is low enough, it will essentially increase your chances of being able to capture them. I really like the physics here. You can see the little sheep rolling down the hill. Bye-bye, friend. But obviously, too many hits kills them off. Now, you do get resources when you kill them, so you can use those resources to build your base and create new things. You've got to be careful as well with your pals, because sometimes they will do too much damage and wipe them out. I'm clearly not super experienced at playing this game. I've only played it for a couple of hours, and as I said, I still haven't even got a gun yet. So we'll get a couple of hits there. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that I have some power spheres. I have 4 of them, and I use RB to throw a sphere, which will then eventually catch it. You do get a percentage meter, but you do need to watch out as well, because you'll have pals that traveling groups come after you and get revenge for capturing their buddies. Now, one thing that you should also watch out for is accidentally pressing RB if you're using a controller. I have a tendency of just throwing these I'm going to call them Pokeballs, these Power Balls or Power Spheres to just throwing them and throwing them away, and then you've got to make more. I'm sure as you go along, you'll be able to find and collect more. There's one on the ground over there. But if you throw them, like I have now, I don't believe that you can then go back and collect them again, unless they've updated that. So that just bounced off the side. I think that's gone for good. Yeah, it has. We also need to go ahead and create a base. Now, in the footage that I showed you earlier on the Series S, I actually started to do that over here. So we're just going to run back over to sort of the starts of our base. A base is decided by when you put down this little terminal over here. So the name of the terminal, which is accessible here, is called a power box, and it creates like a radius, which you can see that I'm just crossing the threshold of now, a little blue sort of radius there, and I can build within here and my pals will join me. So we're going to have a quick look at the power box. Now, there are a few different things that you can do here. It is a fast travel point, but also it's your management menu for your pals. So you can go ahead and grab a pal and store them in there, and they'll regenerate health over time and get them ready to be able to use a pal at the base. The other option for it as well is a series of missions. But first, what we're trying to do now is just go through parts of the tutorial. So it says here that we want to access the power box and summon a power to your base, which we can see in the top right-hand corner there. So I'm just going to go into the power management menu and throw one of my powers down here, and that ticks that off the list. It also wants me to go to the menu and consume some food. You do need to eat in this game, so you can do that by simply going over one of the items and pressing Y. And then you can feed yourself, or you can feed one of your pals. I'm going to feed myself to tick that off the list. You can't name your players, which is really unusual. You can name the world that you moved into. you can name the individual powers, but just not yourself. It's not a big deal, but it's just a strange omission. You'll also notice that there's a little timer counting down. That timer is how long before that stack of food spoils or an individual. So if we had, say, multiple stacks of this meat, in 6 minutes and 40 seconds, that would then drop by 1 down to the next number. I only have 1, so therefore it disappears completely. Anyway, let's have a look at some more of the base building. So I've just leveled up. We're going to go ahead and press the start menu again. That's the hamburger button on the Xbox controller. I'm not sure if those 3 lines are still called the hamburger button, but that's what I call them anyway. We're going to go here and enhance stats. I've been increasing stamina when I play. I'm going to touch that a couple of times. This is not an optimized run through. This game has been out for quite a while now. Well, not that long, but people have obviously know, the most optimal ways to start a character. That's not what this is. It's just a look into the game. So then from there, it wants me to have a look at the survival guide, tick that off the list. This is what manuals look like now. I showed you a manual from Pokemon earlier, and this is the new version of the manuals, isn't it? It's all digital now. I really do miss those physical manuals. I'm showing my age there. We want to capture 5 land balls, which we'll do in a moment, increase our player level, increase our base level. We also have a workbench, a staple in all survival games, where we can create more power spheres by getting paldium fragments, which are these blue little rocks I'll show you in a moment. And we've got some essentials here. I might make myself a wooden club. You can create multiples of any item if you have enough resources to do so by pressing RT or pressing the Y button to make the maximum amount. We don't have that much wood, so we're just going to start some production here. And now I need to work on it. You'll notice in the bottom left of that sort of section there that there's a picture of my cat. And he can help me manufacture things because he has hands, I guess. Not every power will help you build things. There is also a day-night cycle. There is also a temperature gauge. You can get cold or too hot and so on. Very, again, Breath of the Wild. Not that they own temperature gauges, but it is very Breath of the Wild. We've got a little buddy over here, a little catty boy there helping out as well, Cativa. He's helping out by mining, which I can then join in and help him. I'm pressing Y on my controller to be able to cycle through the different tools that I have, and I've built those tools. So I've built myself a pickaxe and an axe for stone and wood. Again, staples in these sorts of games. Probably enough. We'll grab some wood while we're here as well. The club I can use for fighting, and you can obviously also punch your way through a tree. Very Minecraft. The trees will eventually come down, as they have here. Oh, hello. Don't think I've ever seen this before. We've got a wandering merchant here. So I suspect that... Oops, picked up my cat. Off you go, buddy. I suspect that I can buy some stuff. Welcome, I've got some good items in stock. Buy. What do you got, champ? Oh, cool. So we've got like schematics and all sorts of stuff in here. You can buy some arrows, all sorts of stuff. Flame organs, venom glands, that sort of stuff. Yeah, cool. I'm not going to buy anything for the moment, but it's nice to know that these merchants exist. I'm a little curious as to whether or not I can attack him. I'm pretty sure that I can, and I'm pretty sure that if I do attack him, I'll get jumped by the Palworld police, who will eradicate me with guns. As I said earlier, I don't have a gun yet. I think Dunkey did a video about how to get your first gun. So give that a watch if you're keen on getting that sorted out. Build. We're going to build some stuff, right? So let's just have a look here. You need a wooden chest. You've got to have a wooden chest to be able to store all your junk. So let's get that going. We'll start building now. You can see that there's a timer. So it will take, in this case, 10 seconds to be able to build this. Obviously, the more advanced the building, the longer it will take. And having powers will determine how long it also takes for you to build that. We can store some stuff in here. There is weight. So that number that you see in the top left-hand corner of every single one of these items here is the weight of those items. In the bottom right-hand corner, you have the ability to be able to use quick actions, to be able to take everything, quickly stack some stuff, yeah, it just makes the whole process easier. As long as your crates or your storage is within that blue radius, you're automatically pulling from it. So you don't have to have these items in your inventory to build with them. I'll just throw something else in there as well. So I can just tap on that, press RT, and that immediately sends it over. We only have a certain amount of space here. So we'll throw all that over and try and reduce some of our weight so that we can carry more. And we can see Cativa over there is finished mining. That, I believe, will eventually restore. So that stone will eventually return, just as that tree will, unless a recent update has prevented that from happening. We're going to need a couple more power balls as well. So let's just go ahead and... No, this guy's getting in the way. Thank you, champ. Pop out of there. We're going to need a few more. So we need some wood to be able to pull that off. Let's go and quickly grab some wood, and then we'll capture a couple more power. 8 million copies this is sold. Potentially more than that. At the time of this recording, I haven't had a look. We've noticed that we have a mission complete as well, which is done via the Palworld box. So we're going to press Y there. We've got 2 tick boxes because we've built a wooden chest and we've deployed a power to work in the base. We're now moving up to level 2. The next thing I need to do is build a shoddy bed for your pal. We have one pal at the moment who needs a bed, and we are now eligible for a second. Power to be able to help us around. You can see that in the corner over there. It says pals 1/2. So I can actually stick another power to help run around. We'll jump into the power box and I don't know. We'll get Evie over here. Sorry, Cremus. To be able to drop in and give us a hand. And they each have different abilities. So you can actually view the details of each one and see what they're capable of doing. In this case, Cremus's partner skill is while in a team, it increases the attack of all neutral pals. That's their elemental affinity, I believe. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. We're also noticing that it's getting darker. At some point, we're going to have a sleep, so we're probably going to have to build a bed as well. Which is what we're going to do. We're going to build a bed. But to build a bed, you need the blueprint. You need to be able to, you need to be able to know how to do it. And that's where the Ark Survival Evolved menu comes into play. In the bottom left-hand corner there, we have technology points and ancient technology points. Don't know what that is, haven't gotten to it yet. We've got a number there, and that number dictates how many points it will take to unlock that item. So we're just going to go ahead and unlock everything that we can. We're dropping in points. That took 2 points instead of the standard 1. We'll notice the common shield will be doing the same sort of thing. You get more points as you level up. That's all it is, really. And that goes all the way down to like level 60, maybe 50 or 60. 50. So yeah, you'll be here for a while. It's also getting a touch darker. So not only will our pals need beds, we'll also need beds too. Let's build a shoddy bed. We need wood. I am just going to cut ahead to building a quick structure. I'm not going to make you watch all of that happen. So let's just jump ahead. So what you've seen me done here is just build a basic structure. I have chosen to build a little bonfire just to prevent me from being cold overnight. And I do need to build a bed as well. There are a few different ways of being able to build. You would have seen me sort of snap a few things together. That's pretty common for games of this type. Stuff like Valheim does it as well. And obviously you can also rotate stuff as well. But from my understanding, you need to have some sort of roof over your bed to be able to properly sleep in it. Again, fairly common mechanic. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, when I was building before, I was building each part individually, but you can press Y to build continuously with that part. So it means you don't have to keep going back, selecting the part every single time. And that's something to keep in mind. It'll probably make you a little more sane as you're building. You can bypass nighttime by building a bed and sleeping. So this very basic shelter should be more than enough to be able to get you to the next day. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go ahead and sleep. I've still never seen a game when you sleep that has like the physics or the mechanics to pop a blanket or a sheet over you. I feel like Red Dead or something could have probably done that, but there you go. So there's our very, very basic shoddy shelter. We still have some pals without a bed. They're not happy about that. So let's get some straw power beds going here. We have 2 pals that are running around in our base at the moment. It doesn't seem to matter if they sleep outside, as far as I'm aware. As you progress further in the game, that may matter. They do have a sanity meter. It's marked as SAN, and you need to keep them sane. And to keep people sane, they need to be able to sleep. They need to be able to eat. Very basic things. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So I've got my little buddy there. Now we are going to go out and collect some lambdals. And lamb balls, sorry, not lambdals. And that's because you get more experience if you collect the same type of pal up until, I believe, 10. After 10, it's like diminishing returns, or you get no experience at all. And not all the Lamballs, just as not all of the PALs, are identical. They have different stats, so they might look the same, but you can get PALs that have better stats. I also mentioned that resource before. I think it's called Paldium. That's where you get this from. So you just get it from these fragments here. There are fragments lying around and stuff as well, but that's where you get more Paldium. As you chop down more trees and break more rocks and so on, that will also add to the amount of experience you get. But nothing quite matches the amount of experience you get from catching multiple PALs. So we're now going to go ahead and open this up. And as you can see, I've already got some Paldium over there. I've got 14 in the wooden chest, and then I've got an additional 6 on me. I can just press RB to quickly stack that. It goes straight over. So inventory management in this is pretty good. It's fairly user-friendly. Some berry seeds, very good. So we've got our 2 PALs there running around the base helping out, but right now we need to focus on A, eating, and B, catching some of these Lamballs to complete this tutorial. You can cook your meat and berries and so on. I did have a steak in here, I think, so I might grab that out of this box. No, my steak's spoiled. There's that countdown timer for you. So what we might do instead is we'll just go into our inventory and... No, they're berry seeds. We don't have it. We need food. Got to eat. So we might have to kill a Lamball and eat it or grab some berries along the way. But we noticed over here that we have a couple of Lamballs and they're together, which means that if I attack one, the other one is probably going to attack me as well. I'm also not carrying any PALs with me because I've got them back to base. So let's go ahead and bonk this guy on the head. My stamina meter is all the way red. I can't do anything when it's all the way red, so you've got to manage your stamina as well. We'll whack him a couple of times. Get that health nice and low, and then you can see we've got 100% rate there on catching the Lamball. I'm going to get a second one, and I'm just going to show you if I throw that, there's only a 22% capture rate because the Lamball is still quite high in health. So we want to get that down as low as possible. Take a risk, 89%. Good chance of getting it. Very, very likely that's going to occur. I don't see it breaking out of that one. 99, 100. And there we go. There's also a level up. In the bottom corner there, we can see that we've captured 2 Lamballs. We've got an experience bonus. There are 10 slots there, so we want to try and at least get 10 at some stage, and then we can move on from there. And we've got Lamball there in the bottom left-hand corner. We can cycle through using the D-pad. That will let me pick one of them to be able to help me out. So there's our Lamball. And our Lamball is going to help us get this Lamball. A couple more hits with stick. Now, as you can see, our Lamball is stronger than that little roly-poly boy down the hill there, and therefore took him out. So we do need to be careful. LB takes your PAL away and brings him back out again as well. So we just need to be a little bit cautious there. So we're going to just try and get to 5 Lamballs, and then see what's next for us. Lamball's a bit strong. Every PAL has their own set of abilities. So if we have a look at the party there, we've got one of our Lamballs. Now, they both have Fluffy Shield at level 1. I'll show you how I'm going to use that ability in just a moment. But each one has different sets of skills. So, I mean, this one here has Roly-Poly. Let's see whether or not the other one does as well. It does. Its passive skill is Hydromaniac, 10% increase to water attack damage. But the other one has Hooligan, which is attack plus 15 and work speed minus 10. There's also work suitability on the right-hand side. So you can eventually end up with a PAL that has the right abilities for you. Again, very, very similar to Pokemon, Digimon, and so on. One of my favorite games, I keep mentioning my favorite games. One of my favorite games, again, is another PS1 classic, a game called Azure Dreams. It was made by Konami. In Azure Dreams, you basically ventured into a tower with these monsters that you would then hatch and raise and so on. And it was quite a unique sort of title. It was turn-based and absolutely a game that, product of its time. Probably not something that would be particularly enjoyable now for everybody, but I have fond memories of it. There was another title as well called Jade Cocoon. And Jade Cocoon was another one of the sort of first monster catching games that came out. Another PS1 title as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments about what your favorite sort of monster catching taming RPG has been. I'm sure Pokemon is on top of the list for a lot of people, but there are loads of them out there. Obviously, the Persona series is a version of that. Another classic series that was on the PlayStation was a game called Suikoden. We're looking at a spiritual successor to that game coming out soon called Ludian Chronicles, I believe is how it's pronounced. It's coming out on Game Pass this year. But in Suikoden, instead of collecting monsters, you collected, well, characters. There are 108 of them. So you have 108 unique characters. And yeah, it was just, it's an incredible game. So this new title coming out, Ludian Chronicles, is going to be a spiritual successor to that Suikoden series. So yeah. Let me know in the comments if you've played any of those titles that I just mentioned. You can also see that I'm down to 1 health. I jumped and take fall damage. That's not good. I'm also incredibly hungry, but I'm not dying. So it seems to be that starvation won't kill you, but it will get you awfully close to death. Let's head over here and cook some stuff. I'm going to make some lamb kebabs. I imagine that you can feed these kebabs to your pals as well, especially to your lamb. That's pretty evil of you, isn't it? There's some questionable stuff that you can do in this game. It puts something like RimWorld. Well, it doesn't put RimWorld to shame. RimWorld, you can commit some really heinous atrocities. But you know, this is up there. We got some elements of forced labor, slavery, a bit of cannibalism, I think maybe. So let's do some lamb kebabs. Always love a bit of cooking. And we're just going over to... Oh, right. Don't forget, you have to collect with X. So if you're wondering why you don't have it in your inventory, it's because you forgot to collect it, like I just did. So there we go. We got those. Let's get that into us. And that'll fill up that bar to 100%. Now, you can feed your pals as well. And to do that, you need to be able to build a feed box. But we need, again, wood to be able to do that. Every time I think of Suikoden and Azure Dreams, I remember the original Metal Gear Solid on PS1. There's a character in that called Psycho Mantis. And Psycho Mantis had the ability to be able to read the save files on your memory cards. So I remember him always saying to you, you know, so you like Suikoden, so you like Azure Dreams.
I can see into your mind. So, you like Suikoden. So, you like Azure Dreams?
It always blew my mind. It was one of the crazy ideas of Hideo Kojima, but very fourth wall breaking. It was super cool. Now, I know you Palworld veterans out there are watching me play this and going, what is this guy doing? Well, what I'm doing is I'm following the tutorial and yeah, just trying to explain to everybody here roughly the rough mechanics of how this works. There are definitely more optimal starts, but we're just moving at a pace that suits me. We're doing another base upgrade here. I've got to build a feed box and another straw bed and go from there. So I think you get it, right? You're slowly building up a base. You can eventually move your base if you so choose. And that's it, really. You go around, you collect more powers, you level up, you play with your friends. I did play via Xbox with a couple of friends of mine. There was a lot of rubber banding. This is just the 4-player co-op, not the dedicated stuff. There is a climbing mechanic as well that uses your stamina. Again, very Breath of the Wild, isn't it? But, you know, stamina is not owned by Nintendo or the Zelda franchise. They just utilize it in a bit of a different way. Now I'm just going to have a little run around the world just so that you can get an idea of what's out there. There are gym battles, kind of. They're not really gym battles, but they're boss battles. We've got a fire type over there that can help you out with a variety of things back at your base. We've got a big boy here. Now I perceive him as being a boss. I've never fought him. He's called a Mamarest, but you can see that it says King of the Forest, level 38. So he's got his own boss bar there. We've got that tower off in the distance that we eventually need to make our way to. And I believe that that's where one of the first encounters will take place with sort of the villains of the world, the Team Rocket of the world. New powers come out at nighttime. And obviously the further along you progress in the different sort of biomes that you can go to, will have different powers. I haven't really seen anything beyond like a forest beachy kind of look. I'm not sure if there's like snow or anything like that. I imagine there would be, but if there isn't, then it will be later. We're looking at an early access title here. So look, I think at this stage we'll probably wrap up here. This is, you know, obviously a good look into the start of the game and what to expect. It is a lot of fun with friends. We've got a long way to go. A game like this is very much here to stay. And as I said before, I really feel as though that this is, again, a signal to developers that this sort of stuff is okay. Monkey Boy, Tansy. Look, I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out my video today. Jump into the comments. Let's have a chat about this. Are you enjoying Palworld? What do you think about the future of games? Are we going to be seeing a lot more of this sort of stuff? I certainly think so. I don't know what I just did to annoy this Relaxosaurus. I just walked past him, but clearly he's not happy with me. And with that, we're at the end of our video. I will just very quickly show you what happens when you respawn. You have a multitude of locations that you can choose to respawn at beyond your base, and they give you an indication as the power population there and how many resources. So I guess one tip is that right at the beginning you can just off yourself and end up in a whole new location. And there's some snow in the mountains over there. There are other biomes, so I'll be looking forward to getting into this a little bit more. Thanks as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.